Everyday people working 9 to 5, saving up that money, trying to survive, investing in the future, trying to be wise. We're gonna be money heroes. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nik Johnson, host of Everyday Money Heroes, and I've reached early retirement. I'm here to provide information on how to obtain financial independence and inspire you through sharing stories of everyday people who are turning knowledge into freedom.
That hustle, always reaching for the sky. We're gonna be money heroes, never gonna shy.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Everyday Money Heroes. My name is Nik Johnson, and my goal is to provide information and inspiration to individuals who want to empower themselves along their personal finance journey. Today, I have one of my favorite people in the personal finance community. It is Money Coach Bianca. A little bit about Money Coach Bianca before I go ahead and bring her in. Over the past decade, she's been a money coach, helping people build wealth without sacrificing the things they love. She's a big fan of travel, eating out, good times with family and friends. And Bianca's dream is no stress, finance for all. Kind of her origin story, because every hero has an origin story, right? She paid off $36,000 of consumer debt, including paying off her car and generating an additional $20,000 of income, doing all this in just 18 months, while still taking multiple vacations, attending concerts, and dining out with her favorite people. Now, granted, I did not get one of those invites. We will talk about that later on. And finally, since then, she has helped people save money, pay off debt, get their first adult job, negotiate raises, open their first investment accounts, plan their retirement, and increase their net worth. So that is a mouthful. With that being said, thank you very much, Money Coach Bianca, for being here. How are you doing, ma'am?
I am well. Pleasure to be here.
All right, that is outstanding. So first of all, you're a money coach. And so what's really interesting is that you've shared some of your accomplishments, but kind of, a lot of times people don't want to become a money coach. So what inspired you to become one? Were there any things based on kind of like your own experience that kind of shapes your approach to personal finance and wanting to be a money coach?
Absolutely. So you heard my origin story.
Mhm.
I had a ton of fun in my 20s, early 30s, and there came a point where I was like, I have got myself into some trouble.
Mhm.
So at that low point, I was like, never again. And I want to do things different. And so that's where it started, where I really started getting into personal finance, changing things for me. And I realized it made my life so much better. I got to do all the things I loved. And then that just skyrocketed because I had so much more flexibility in my finances.
Okay, so now you said that you saw yourself in trouble. So we might call those some flags, right? So for anybody who might be out there listening to us, kind of what was those kind of flags that you saw, like, you know what, this ain't where I want to be?
So I was traveling. I was
Mhm.
in Africa at the time and I had no money and about 10 days left of my trip. And it was a very scary situation. And
Mhm.
I wasn't sure how I was going to navigate it. And I was like, this isn't fun. I mean, I love travel, but this isn't how I want to do it. And
Mhm.
so when I came home, that is when I really wrote out a list of the debts, because of course that trip was on a credit card. And I got a dodgy second job off of Craigslist. I started binge reading personal finance books that I found at my local library, slashed my living expenses that I didn't care about, and then shoveled all my cash towards the debt.
Okay, so that is amazing. And first of all, I find it even more amazing that you found yourself in Africa on a trip, and this sounds like a almost like a bucket list trip that you're on. Going to Africa, and you had 10 days left, so that means that you're over there for a good amount. How long were you over in Africa?
Think I was gone almost a total of a month, but I mean,
Wow. Okay.
I was there. I was like, oh, I'll hit Paris on my way. I did 3 countries in Africa. And then on my way back, I'm like, oh, I'll hit New York. I love New York. I had a ridiculous itinerary and like no funds to actually make this happen, but
Oh
the
wow.
ticket got booked.
That is amazing. But still today, based on your bio, you still enjoy traveling. Now you're able to do it in a way in which you have, peace of mind that when you know that you come home, that you haven't basically put all of this on a credit card, that you know that you've allocated for it, and that you can actually have enjoyable memories and not dodge the mailbox when the bill comes, correct?
Exactly.
All right, that's outstanding. So now you are Money Coach Bianca. You go from being stranded in Zimbabwe, run out of money with 10 days left, to now, you're a success story. So you're not a money coach. But I mean, what does a typical day look like as like a money coach? How do you help your clients achieve the goal and, the challenges that they will face as they're trying to get their money right?
Right. So a typical day as a money coach, I'm not sure what that looks like, so I can just talk for myself.
Awesome.
Um, my day can be a real mixed bag. It really depends on what my clients are doing and what their goals are for that week or that month. I have a variety of coaching clients right now. I was in preparation for this. I was thinking, like, okay, who did I talk to yesterday? A firefighter,
Okay.
a ballet dancer and a teacher, and a flight attendant. They all have wildly different schedules, and
Mhm.
also their financial needs and goals are also wildly different. So we've got someone who's pulling in a lot of overtime because firefighting super busy this time of year. The Nutcracker is going on for my ballet performer, and
Mhm.
then the flight attendant, of course, is some of the busiest travel times of the year. So they are insanely busy people. So a lot of our communication is checking in via text message. We do online Zoom because I don't know what part of the country they're going to be in, depending
Mhm.
on, you know, their schedule. And so a lot of it is virtual, digital, and just busy people that are prioritizing their finances because they want, their dream life.
Mm. So for that is a wide kind of range of occupations there. So basically, it's safe to say that it doesn't matter if you're blue collar, white collar, or an artist. A money coach is someone who can provide value. What you're trying to do as far as being an individual who gets their personal finances in order.
Absolutely.
All right, outstanding. So, based on your experience, Bianca, what's kind of some of the most common financial mistakes you see people make, and how can they avoid them?
Ooh, the most common financial mistake I see people make is not knowing what's going on with their finances.
Okay.
They don't know how much money they're making, how much they're spending. They don't know what their retirement plan is. And that depends. If you're in your 20s, you don't really need to worry about that quite yet. But let's say you're in
Mm-hmm.
your 40s, 50s, and you think that the system is going to take care of you. I've been working at this job for 40 years and I'm just going to retire at 65 like my parents without actually checking on this or knowing how much money they're going to have and what they can spend in retirement. Just a lot of that, just not checking in. And like, is this even your goal? What do you want things to look like?
Mm. Bianca, it's interesting. I know oftentimes people say that, what, I'm going to work till I'm 65 and then I'll retire. But in my head, I think I'm like, okay, well, there are plenty of people who are older than 65 who are still working. So that must not be necessarily the magic number where you can stop working. So there has to be certain variables in that thing. And just like you mentioned, what does it look like? What does retirement look like for you? What does financial independence look like for you? It's very different for individuals. And so, like you say, we have to be able to articulate what that looks like in our lives because what I want to do may look very different from what you want to do. Because to me, what's a great day for me, Bianca, is me taking my little fold up chair that I have in like the back of my van and going to the park and like putting on like my radio, my little boom box, and maybe like having a box lunch and eating that, and I'm happy, But to some people that are like, that's so lame. But that's like what I enjoy doing. So my kind of amount of um, nest egg that I need might be smaller than someone else who desires, to have, high end dining and, all these other things. So it's really personal. And just like we hear it said often, that's what they call it, personal finance. So that is great.
Exactly.
So
Funny
yes, ma'am.
story. I do have a folding chair in the back of my car with a beach towel, a swimsuit, sunblock. I'm ready to go. I'm also ready to go on a plane at any given moment. So,
Yeah,
yeah, very
you got to get ready a little fit, right? If there's a party that comes up, you're ready. If you got to get in the wind, you're ready to go. So I respect that. That is outstanding. So now that we've identified some of the common mistakes that people make, um, as a money coach, what we identify as probably the top piece of advice for someone just starting on their journey? Are there specific habits or strategies you recommend for building a strong financial foundation?
yeah, there are a lot of things habits and strategies that I would recommend for building a strong financial foundation. I would make financial education a part of everyday life. So that might mean listening to a podcast such as this, like
Mhm.
normalizing money conversations. A lot of times we can't talk about this with our friends or family circle. So we need to look outside of that to be like, okay, there's people doing it. I'm not a
Mhm.
weirdo. This isn't weird or rare. People are doing it. They are living a different financial life. And if you like to read or listen to books, I recommend there's so many good personal finance books, especially since the pandemic, and especially for people of color and for women.
Mhm.
Um, and then I would have a monthly money date with myself
Okay.
and or a friend. Like if you can find a buddy to do this with, even better. And
Mhm.
then also, like if you're a social media person, change up your algorithm. Follow some people that are giving good advice in the personal finance space
Mhm.
and have them pop up in your feed. So you're just getting little nuggets of people doing things with their money, smart things with their money, and not have it be all about consumerism. So
Mhm.
I like to suggest for my clients a mix of adding and subtracting. So adding in those positive money voices, wealth building voices, talking about investing, normalizing those things, and then also cut things like, maybe it is unsubscribing from certain email lists that always get you to buy, even though you have a bathroom full of hair products. You don't need more
Mhm.
hair products or whatever it is for you, or
Mhm.
upgrading your vehicle or the tickets, although I do love live tickets. Um, yeah, so figuring out what's a good balance for you, and then also just really what do you want specifically? So I spend a lot of time with my clients, and we go back to that pretty much every session about is this aligning and getting you closer to that ideal financial life?
Yeah, thank you for those that advice, Bianca. One of the things that you kind of made mention to is that um, really making sure to almost success proof your environment. Oftentimes, fortunately, I'm of a particular age, and there wasn't so much social media when I was, in my very formative years. And now all of a sudden, people kind of in their 20s and 30s, and 40s sometimes they get this FOMO where they see these individuals doing all these things, and a lot of times they start to kind of doubt themselves. As far as I can't do that, why can't I do that? And so sometimes we tend to extend ourselves when we really can't. It's really interesting. I was a couple months ago, I was out and I saw these gentlemen just kind of walking down the street. And it was a really nice Corvette in front of this hotel. And they were walking. And all of a sudden, one of the guys who kind of jumped in front of it, friend took a picture of them and they walked away. And in my head, I was like, okay, I wonder if this picture will end up in someone's feed and they see this individual and think that he owns that car and then start to doubt themselves and then start to extend themselves beyond their means just because they saw a picture and didn't have the entire context of a particular situation. So we really have to success proof ourselves, like you were saying before.
For sure. Yeah. When I was in Africa, completely broke, my pictures look amazing. I had the biggest smile on my face. You can't tell it from when I have like a paid off trip or a free trip because I've used, reward points or something. The smiles look the same.
That is true. We never know what's going on. That's for sure. I tell people all the time, the grass may look greener on the other side, but you still got to cut it. So make sure that you understand the whole context of everything that's going on, and be accountable for what you can be accountable for. So great. So Bianca, one of the things when you're helping clients stay motivated, when tackling long-term financial goals, sometimes we kind of get stuck in the messy middle, where it's like, oh, it seems like we'll never get there. So how do you help them to stay motivated to kind of continue to fight the good fight when it comes to their personal finance?
Staying motivated in the messy middle can be tricky. I like to use a mix of humor,
Mm-hmm.
also celebrating wins, and also tracking, because a lot of times, especially during that slog, I just taught an investing class last night and I was talking about that first 100,000 is so hard. It can take so long, but then once you get there, it really starts accumulating your wealth. But that first few can take several years, that first $100,000. So plugging along and knowing like, okay, celebrate each, 20K, 30K, let's keep focused on how far you've come instead of where you're trying to go. Just get to the next 10K. And also, like, if people are sticking to their spending plan, if they got to go on a trip and because they were smart with the credit cards, the flight was free. Like, there's so many
Mm.
things on this journey that we can celebrate.
That's true. Bianca, tracking is extremely important because when you kind of look at like this huge kind of goal that you have, it's it's hard or it's easy to miss kind of those incremental successes that you have along the way. So, like I say, you need to make sure to celebrate those. That's extremely important. It's almost like when you're trying to lose weight. Oftentimes it takes you a long time to actually see the difference in the mirror. People are like, okay, well, I feel as I lost weight. But if you track your weight, you say, okay, might have been a pound this week, maybe a pound and a half next week, and over a series of weeks and months, next thing you know, okay, I'm at 10 pounds, 15 pounds. So that is extremely important.
Yeah, for sure. And again, like with that same illustration, things are going to fluctuate. And
Mm-hmm.
also, what you needed at the beginning of your financial journey is not what you're going to need in the middle. And it's not going to be when you actually have money accumulated. Like how you treat your money at 100K is not going to be how we treat it at a million.
Mm,
So but at every stage we need to keep learning. And so
mm-hmm.
instead of getting focused on like, oh, I didn't do whatever, it's like, but I did listen to that podcast every week this month. I did read that finance book this month. So
Mm-hmm.
there's other things that are going to go into it that's really going to build the foundation when we have those bigger chunks of money that we also need to be smart with.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Money Coach Bianca. I think maybe the last question we'll have here is as far as when it comes to advice. What is the one piece of advice you wish people understood about money? If the listeners could walk away with just one actionable insight, what would that be for them to do?
One piece of advice, can I do an easy and a hard?
Absolutely. You can even do a
Okay,
medium if you
so
want to.
I love because it's coaching and we need to take
Yeah.
action
Yeah.
from a coaching session.
Okay.
So easy piece of advice. Uh, get rid of, let's be ambitious, 5 email trying to sell you something in your
Okay.
inbox.
Okay.
Subscribe.
So
And
unsubscribe, block, whatever you got to do. Okay.
yeah. And then add in a great personal finance person on your Instagram or wherever you take in content. So if it's a podcast, if it's social media, follow something that is going to give you good personal finance advice that's going to help you solve whatever you're doing with. And then a hard, actionable advice, get clear on your ideal financial life. If you want that to be, I want to live in this neighborhood. I want a car that starts up every morning. I know I want to have $10,000 in the bank to feel good. Write down what you want that to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And then take an honest assessment of where you are now. Like be honest. And then figure out if there's one of those things you can work on in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's okay, I want that 10K emergency fund. Figure out how you're going to do that. You have a whole year, you're starting fresh. That one's going to take a little bit more work. So that's an easy and a
Mm-hmm.
hard.
Okay, I got you. Thanks for that. It's interesting that you say a car that starts up in the morning. I remember when in
So
my young, I remember my younger years. I remember having a car that I had to drive to work, and I knew that sometimes it was suspect about starting up. So I always made sure to park way in the back of the parking lot. So if I had to lift that hood or go and start hitting a starter or something like that, I wouldn't be in front of everybody. So I definitely can relate to that. That's for sure. And, it's important, as you say, we talk about this one piece of advice. I mean, to have easy things and hard things because it's important for us to get those easy wins sometimes. Go ahead and get some points on the board and make us know that we're going in the right direction because oftentimes we have gotten into the situation when it comes to our finances over a series of years and sometimes
yes,
decades. And so we can't expect that, in 6 months, it's all going to be gone. Because we have to unlearn a lot of bad behaviors that we have. We have to resolve some of the bad debt that we have. Oftentimes, we have to go ahead and trim some of the fat, and then we need to also sometimes generate more revenue. So it's a there's a lot of things that go into this particular approach to being able to go ahead and get us where we want to be when it comes to our personal finances.
100%.
Yes, ma'am. Well, this has been an amazing conversation with you, Money Coach Bianca. How can our listeners reach out and get in contact with you if they need money coaching or just want to follow, some of that great advice that you shared with us already today?
Sure. So I have a website, Money Coach Bianca. You can sign up for my newsletter and follow me on Instagram. which is
Okay.
Money Coach Bianca.
All right, that's outstanding. Well, thank you so much for sharing this wisdom with us today, Money Coach Bianca.